Okay. So I tell you, for Jews in the news, there hasn't been that much of a variety of topics because of what's going on in Gaza and the war against Hamas. And there's been so much about it that, as you've seen, I've had something different to say about it every week, a different aspect about it every week. So I want to do something else different about it that's related to uh, uh, November 8th, 2 days from now. November 8th, 1938 was Kristallnacht. So 85 years later is the anniversary commemoration of that horrific event, which, for all intents and purposes, marked the beginning of the Shoah. So before we came on, two people asked about things that I had said publicly that I was going to participate in, and I'm going to mention both in relation to Kristallnacht. So Saturday night, I attended the performance of The Diary of Anne Frank at Good Counsel High School in Olney. So Our Lady of Good Counsel High School is a Catholic Archdiocese high school that when I first came to Shaarei Tefillah, Good Counsel was located in Wheaton. That campus now is housing, and they moved to Olney, I don't know, 15 years ago, maybe a little bit more. It's a beautiful campus, beautiful building, and the auditorium and theater are really just like, uh, not quite like a Broadway theater, but certainly like an off-Broadway theater. That's how sophisticated it is. Anyway, the director of that's who's on staff of Good Counsel High School invited me the first week that school began to speak to the cast of about to provide a Jewish context for the Diary of Anne Frank. So I thought that was, first of all, I thought it was unusual for a Catholic high school to be putting on the Diary of Anne Frank. Might be one thing to put on Fiddler on the Roof, right? A musical. Has broad appeal. Fiddler on the Roof has been performed probably on every continent except Antarctica, and it's a popular musical that the themes of it relate to a whole variety of cultures. And Fiddler on the Roof is being performed at the only theater uh, starting soon through December. So it'd be one thing if they were putting on Fiddler on the Roof, which area high schools have done. It's quite another to perform this drama taken based on Anne Frank's diary. And so I said, sure, I'd be happy to come and talk. I provided background as I talked over the high holidays in one of my sermons about it. It was really an affirming experience. So I was invited last week or so to attend one of the performances. I misspoke on Shabbat. This past weekend was the first weekend of 2 weekends of performances. So I was invited, choose a time to come to do the talk a talkback session along with a friend of the director who is on faculty at the University of Maryland in the psychology department. I said, sure, how about this past Saturday night? So it worked out. I'd say the performances, it's being advertised in the Good Counsel community. So it's only Good Counsel parents, faculty, etc., who would be attending the performances. So I'd say there are about 200 people there on Saturday night. It was an excellent performance. These students are really top-notch students. Like some of them you can picture going on to theater school and college and having a career. Like the student who played Anne Frank, she was really good. So after the performance, it's about a 2 hour show, including intermission. Um, I was on the stage, and just each of us, the psychologist and I, were just asked to just introduce ourselves, why we're there, and then I didn't. A couple people had questions about, and mostly the comments that were being shared from the audience were all supportive of Israel and understanding the anti-Semitism that's raging in this country and around the world. So it was an affirming experience to be there. It was really good to be in a crowd of non-Jews and to be appreciated, to hear people say they're sorry about what's going on, and kind of not have to be afraid to be wearing my kippah as I did, and a pin on my lapel, the Israeli American flag pin. So that was really an affirming experience. Yesterday afternoon, I tell you, yesterday was a long day for me as a rabbi, because had the usual morning stuff here at shul, and then my colleague up the road, Rabbi Jesse Nagelberg of B'nai Shalom of Olney, the other conservative synagogue in town. He's been there a year and a half. They had his installation yesterday, and I was invited to attend and also to participate. So that was great to be there for that. And then in the afternoon at 4:30 was a vigil at Bethel and Bethesda. It was co-run by Bethel and Or Kodesh, and it was co-sponsored by the Federation and JCRC. It was supposed to be prayer, song, and study, marking Shloshim, the traditional 30 days of mourning period, since the beginning of the war on October 7th. So it got co-opted in a good way and a powerful way by this organization called Bring Them Home. So Bring Them Home is this organization that of parents and family of the hostages in Gaza. And I just sent out an email to the Sharei Tefillah community just a little while ago. In it, there's a link to that website to Bring Them Home, because one thing to do that is encouraged is to contact our elected officials, Congress and senators, and they'll send a letter automatically, an email letter automatically to your congressmen and senators. And I highly encourage us to do that every day, so that for me, it's Congressman Raskin and Senators Cardin and Van Hollen will be reminded and urged to ensure that everything is being done to get the hostages released from Gaza. So I know that Raskin and Cardin being on the Foreign Affairs Committee, is doing everything he can, but it's good for them to hear from us that we want them to keep on doing it. So there were 4 family members of hostages there at Bethel yesterday who spoke about the last time they heard from their family members and how they were taken into Gaza. So it was a very, very emotional presentation yesterday, worth hearing, but very, very difficult to hear. And it was affirming also in that there was Rabbi Greg Harris of Bethel has a very good relationship with the church across the street from him. Their communities have traveled to Israel together, and so that pastor participated in the service by sharing the prayer for peace. So that was good. And there were a bunch of rabbis there who got onto the bima at the end to sing Oseh Shalom and Hatikva. So it was good to be there, and good to have these vigils to come together as community. Now there is a rally that's coming up on November 14th, Tuesday, November 14th. I have no idea why it's on a Tuesday, but it's being sponsored by, organized by the Jewish Federations of North America. So it's one of these umbrella organizations for the American Jewish community, trying to bring together all segments of the Jewish community on the mall in DC at 1:00 in the afternoon. So part of me says, yes, absolutely, I want to be there, and I want to ensure that we have a contingent from Sharei Tefillah to go. But I want to be honest. Part of me also is saying, I don't want to be anywhere near there because of the inherent danger of such a large crowd of Jews and what might happen, what the security threat might be. So, I'm not, when there was the anniversary of Martin Luther King's speech at the Lincoln Memorial at the end of August, I had no hesitation in being there on that Shabbat morning, taking Shabbat off, encouraging people from shul to go to that rally. I had no problem in doing that. Highly encourage that. This rally, and in the late 80s, when I was in rabbinical school, I took a bus with fellow rabbinical students down to DC to march for the release of Jews from the Soviet Union. And President Bush, I forget who else spoke, but I went to that rally, no question. Lenore and I went on that bus, traveled down, took the metro from whatever the bus left. I have memories of being in Washington for that rally. No question about safety. Absolutely wanted to participate. It was an important event to be part of. This one, just because of the nature of anti-Semitism now, there are boycotts around. As I also put in the email that was sent out just a little while ago, Oh Mama Grill, a small hole in the wall but very good kosher Israeli restaurant, is being boycotted by some pro-Palestinian groups. So I don't know if that means that people are actually marching in front of it. I don't know what that boycott means, but we need to do whatever we can to go to make sure they stay in business and they don't close down. So, if a small hole in the wall, it's a corner of East Jefferson and Rollins, if you've never been there. But I tell you, the shawarma and the falafel are really good. So it's worth the trip to go. It's really important now to ensure that Israeli businesses stay in business. So if a boycott of a small hole in the wall place gets legs, you can imagine what might happen at this national rally. I know security will be through the roof, so there'll be tons of security there. But I'm just telling you what my fear is. So yes, I will highly encourage people to go, but I'm not sure whether I myself will go. Which all now connects to Kristallnacht. We can't. If October 7th didn't happen, then October 27th, the 5th anniversary of Tree of Life, would have had a lot more attention being paid to it by the Jewish community, and that the Pittsburgh Jewish community would not feel alone and isolated, as I'm sure they did just a week or so ago. You know, I marked it on Shabbat. I did say yesterday, October 28th was Shabbat. Yesterday was October 27th. We did mark it on October 12th by having the movie that came out, Repairing the World, about the stories stories of Tikkun Olam from Tree of Life. Look for it on PBS if you didn't get to see it at Sandy Spring Museum on October 12th. The 80-minute movie is out on PBS. So I feel badly that the Pittsburgh Jewish community may have felt alone in their continued commemoration, their annual commemoration. And the same for Kristallnacht. You know, survivors of the Holocaust, those who are still around, are getting older and older, and more are dying. And so there are very few left who remember Kristallnacht 85 years ago. And so, you know, with the war going on, we might be tempted to forget November 8th, just 2 days from now, what Kristallnacht meant. But at the same time, we're not forgetting. And we understand that what happened on October 7th, I have not seen too many images. There are videos out there of Hamas terrorists recording every moment of their brutality. I have not watched those videos. But the one video I sent a link out to today from this Israeli tech entrepreneur, Ron Harnavo, that 4-minute video has 2 moments in it of graphic scene. It's still, so I did watch that video before I included it in the email. It's very important to watch that video and to see that scenes. So as I said on Shabbat, you know, Hamas, a lot of people who hate Israel deny the Holocaust. Yet, what Hamas did in part of their brutality was relive some of the atrocities that took place in the concentration camps. There was an incredibly difficult video to watch, and there are a number of these, of the Zaka volunteers. I'm not sure if they're volunteers or actually paid workers. These people in Israel who are the burial society, who gather the body, the parts of the body, the blood, to identify the body and also to prepare it for funeral. So these Zaka workers see the most grotesque, vile things, and they do an incredible mitzvah, but they describe, there are videos, if you look for it, you can find it if your stomach allows, the description that they have of what Hamas did. Babies in ovens, I'll just say that, plural, is just unimaginable, unspeakable, and we cannot understand, those of us in the Jewish community cannot understand why people have forgotten already what October 7th was, not only forgotten it, but have turned it around and have commended Hamas or condoned Hamas for what they did, because they claim that they're right in as part of their process of liberation. This whole idea, what I'm pausing here because I want to say that what the Nazis did and what the world is doing now is blaming the victim for our suffering, right? So that's the part of the commemoration of Kristallnacht and what's going on now that I want to what I that's the key point I wanted to focus on. That it's the victim who's at fault, right? So the Nazis, their rendition of anti-Semitism, the 2,000-year-old scourge of anti-Semitism, the Nazis' version of it was that it's the Jews' fault that Germany had such economic hardship. It's the Jews' fault because they hoarded all the money. It's the Jews' fault because they look different and they are not the ideal Aryan DNA. They don't have blonde hair, blue eyes. They don't have the requisite height. They don't have the requisite facial bodily features. Therefore, they are vermin and don't deserve to live. So we're at fault for being different. We're at fault for the false narrative of being the wealthiest people in the world. We deserve everything that is coming to us. And so the Nazis, Hitler preaching that, writing it, preaching it, he did not shy away from it. He was honest and forthright in what he was going to do, was elected overwhelmingly to take over as Chancellor of Germany, and immediately began instituting anti-Semitic laws that were not criticized at all. Some Jews luckily saw the writing on the wall and left, and others continued to deny that anything could happen in the most civilized country in Europe. So we know what happened, but the idea is blaming the victim for Kristallnacht, blaming the 6 million for being killed by brutally by the Nazis. And the same thing is happening as a result of October 7th. People, aside from President Biden and a few other European leaders, no one called Hamas terrorists. No one called out Hamas for the brutality that it did. No one wanted to point out the attack on civilized, moral, ethical society. So the lessons of the Holocaust have not been learned. That is clear. Anti-Semitism is so inherent in the DNA of the world, of world humanity, that it'll be impossible to eradicate anti-Semitism from the DNA from human DNA. That seems clear to me. That there are times in history where anti-Semitic acts are less than normal. And that is the best, I think, that we Jews can hope for. The fact that the ADL is reporting that there has been an over 400% increase in the reporting of anti-Semitic incidents in America since October 7th just highlights that point. It doesn't take much to have people allow themselves to hate, and it gets to how just the horrible nature that human nature is. The Torah teaches us, I mean, just the Torah, just as Judaism teaches us a way for us to overcome the innate evil that we have in us. And all religions around the world, their point in being a religion and the point of their religious doctrine is to overcome that inherent evil that we have in us. Every religion has a different way to do that. So the Jewish way is understanding that, as I also spoke over the high holidays, that to recognize that there's evil in us and that sometimes evil is good in order for to do the bigger good of eradicating evil, right? So that was the point of my talking about the movie Oppenheimer. At some point, you need the evil of the atom bomb in order to restore the moral, ethical equilibrium of the world, right? So the Jewish understanding of evil is, yes, recognize that there is evil in us and recognize that our goal in our life on earth is to make our lives as meaningful by being as good as possible. And if only every person in the world had that as their life's mission, then the world would be a much better and safer place to live. You can imagine how was it before the internet that a society could become overwhelmingly convinced and brought over to Hitler's side, right? You can imagine how without the internet, Hitler had hundreds of thousands of people attend his rallies, rallying around him in and transforming themselves from their so-called civilized German selves into these robots of hate. And that imagine if the internet existed from 1933 on, how much more influence Hitler would have had, not just in Germany, but around the world. Just look at how easy it is for people to be sucked into the conspiracy theories and the misinformation that are rampant on the internet. So in 85 years ago with Kristallnacht, it didn't take much to be able to convince German society that it's okay to destroy German businesses. It's okay to destroy synagogues or deface synagogues. It's okay to round up Jews. And people bought into, because people wanted their lives to change so much that they're willing to do away with the Jews. They're vermin, get rid of them, our lives will be so much better. Today, whatever the motivation is for people to be sucked into this the social media, I don't know what it is. I have nothing to do with Twitter or X. I have nothing to do with TikTok. I don't allow myself to read any of those things. I go on Facebook, but only to see what's new in people's lives. I don't read comments that people write on if anybody posts something political. I've even unfriended one or two people because of the kinds of posts that they had. So I don't allow myself to get into that. But there are so many people who are caught up in this tidal wave of hatred, this tidal wave of discrimination and prejudice. I just don't know how we can turn that tide. I don't know how we can protect ourselves. I don't know how protect ourselves as Jews. I don't know how we can protect ourselves as decent human beings from from this evil. I tell you, the glimmer of hope that I had from attending Saturday night at Good Counsel is offset by my work in the interfaith clergy here in Greater Olney. So I had a meeting in the Shul Sukkah on the Tuesday during Sukkot. So that was just 4 days before Hamas attacked. So there was good feeling in the sukkah, good feeling about how, what an agenda for moving forward together as an interfaith community. And since October 7th, it's been crickets, as they say. I haven't heard a word from my interfaith colleagues, just to say sorry to hear about what's going on. I hope you're doing okay. Our prayers are with you. Nothing like that. Now that partly could be our fault as an interfaith community, that we're kind of new to getting to know each other. There's been a turnover of people, even though the interfaith clergy group has been around for a while. There's been a turnover of people in it. So it takes a while for people to, I'm just giving them the benefit of the doubt, for perhaps the trust, the friendship isn't there enough for people to think, oh, maybe I should reach out. So I've been hesitant to kind of reactivate the group since our Sukkot meeting. And I don't know when I'll feel comfortable reaching out again, saying, hey, let's work together on some social action projects. I'm just not there yet. I don't have the headspace for that yet. I'm overwhelmed by this world of hatred around us. So 85 years since Kristallnacht, we can never forget. We can't allow ourselves to forget. I pride ourselves. We should feel proud that every year we have our own Yom HaShoah event in April, May, whenever Yom HaShoah is. We always have our own Yom HaShoah event instead of just relying on the community one that the JCRC does. It is important for us on our own, in our own community, to keep on remembering. And the lesson has been learned that we're on our own. And there could be a few people out there that support us, but they're few and far between. And the only people out there who are going to protect us is us. And we need to be strong. We need to come together often to support one another. And we need to advocate for ourselves, for our safety. And we need to be strong for Israel too, to tell Israel, to let Israel know that we support them 100% in their process of eradicating Hamas from Gaza, and making sure that Israel gets the message across and people understand who Hamas is and what they're doing to their own fellow Palestinians. We need to stand up for ourselves. We need to stand up for Israel, because the lesson of Kristallnacht, the lesson of October 7th, is nobody else will. Any thoughts, questions, comments that people want to share? Yeah, Bob.
Well, you mentioned about the rally
Yeah.
next week,
Yeah.
and I understand your concerns. My wife had the same concern, but if we don't go,
I know.
and show.
I understand. I agree with you completely. I agree with you completely, Bob. 100% I agree. I know I should be there. I'm just saying I'm fearful. I don't
I
know what will happen. And
I understand that.
I don't know. I don't know if I have the courage to overcome my fear. Is it fair to my wife and family for me to be there? Is it fair to the shul for me to be there? I don't know, and I haven't figured out that question. I should talk to some other people about that and get their thoughts. I know just the Rabbi Mark Israel. He was at the installation for Rabbi Nagelberg in the morning, and also at the vigil in the afternoon. And he said maybe we should charter a bus. And I said, yeah, probably would make sense to do that. Let's see if we can do that. Probably makes sense to have the bus at his place at Tikvat Israel because it's closer into DC than it is than from us. I said I'll see. So I put in the email, if people are interested in going, let me know so I can get some names together. So I don't know. I feel comfortable encouraging people to go, but I'm not sure if I'm comfortable yet. If I've got my head around it to go. I have to talk some more with my wife about it, and if she says, I guess if she says it's okay to go, then I'll go. I also want to go to Israel. Rabbi Jacob Blumenthal, who is the CEO of the RA United Synagogue, used to be the rabbi at Sharei Torah in the Kentlands. He was at the vigil yesterday, so I happened to ask him, is there going to be a solidarity mission from the Rabbinical Assembly, the organization of conservative rabbis, to go to Israel? He said, yes, we're working on it. December 17th, Sunday, December 17th to that Thursday or that Wednesday night. So a very short mission. That's something I want to go on. And I know that, I don't know, it feels safer to me to go on a solidarity mission to Israel than it does to go down to DC to march or to be there on the mall. I don't know, but I'd say it's probably 60-40 now that I'll go. But I just wanted to share my reticence about it, and just, in case other people have some fears as well, that it's okay to voice those fears. And it's also not okay because we shouldn't ever, as Americans, feel unsafe to be wherever we go in America. And that's number one, we're Americans. Yes, we're Jewish Americans, but there's no reason at all for any American to feel unsafe anywhere in America. That's just, and the fact that many Americans feel unsafe in America, Black Americans, Muslim Americans, Jewish Americans, Asian Americans, etc., is a shame on our country that that's the case. So anyway, so that's another lesson from Kristallnacht.
Also,
Yeah,
do
but
you think, I know there was a pro-Palestinian rally um,
on
over the weekend.
Shabbat afternoon, yeah.
Do you think there were some members of the tribe there?
Yes, because there was I think there was the Washington Post reported on it yesterday, and there's some individual Jews who were walking by. The Jewish community said, do not go to those rallies because we don't want to incite an already delicate, dangerous situation, right? So I remember clearly from one article in the Washington Post yesterday where somebody clearly who looked Orthodox was walking by the marchers, and one marcher said to this Orthodox Jew, "Meet you in hell." All right,
Right.
so so individual Jews were there. There are some Jews who will go to these pro-Palestinian rallies with signs that would to be an anti-protest. That I would never do. Don't want to get caught up in that. But our own rally, yeah, yeah, we should be there. I just don't know yet if I if I will be there. Any other thoughts or comments? Okay. So we pray for peace in Israel. We pray for peace within ourselves and strength and courage as we keep on going, and pray that someday there will be an end to all this hatred. So have a good rest of the day, everybody. Take care.